Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap build with brackets text editor video. In the last video we set up our site favicon and our site title here. In this video we're going to add a slider. Now a slider is a feature. It's just 3 or 4 little images that change in your hero section, which is usually this first section here, where you can get a quick message across and get eyeballs on your site. It's a fantastic feature and it's really easy to do. So what we're going to do, we'll go back to our brackets text editor. For those of you that have not been following this series of videos, brackets is a free text editor and it's available from a link below this video. Here's our folder with our website files in it, our CSS folder and our images folder where we store our images, and our index.html file, which is what we're working on here in our brackets, as you can see. Now what we want to do, we want to add another extension. I've already got mine installed, but if you haven't, let's go to File, Extension Manager. When it's loaded, you just want to type in Bootstrap. Mine's obviously up already. And under available tabs here, you want to look for RCH Bootstrap 4 snippets. Mine's already installed, but if you haven't installed it, you're going to have a little install button like that. Just go ahead and hit the install. Once you've installed it, it may ask you to restart brackets before you can use it. So go ahead and do that. And you want to hit this more info link right here, because this will take you to their little GitHub site where they've got all the short codes that you need to build Bootstrap sites really quickly. So go ahead and click on that link and it'll bring you to this page here. Now this doesn't look too exciting until we start scrolling down and you start to see these short codes. Now we used a different plugin before. We could have used this one, but the plugin or the extension that we used before didn't have the shortcodes that we wanted to use for our slider. Or another name for a slider is a carousel. So if we stroll down here, keep scrolling until we find carousel buttons, more buttons. Button groups, cards, they're great. We'll be doing some of those later on. Here's our carousel. Now you've got a few choices here. Basic slider, that's just going to be rotating images. Full slider is the one that we're going to use because it's going to be rotating images with navigation and also captions. Here's one with just the captions, here's one with just the control, and here's one with just the indicators. Great, so you say, well, how do we do it? Easy. You just type this into your brackets software there. So it's BS4 carousel full, and it should prompt you for this, and you'll just click on it and it'll create the HTML structure for the slider. So let's go back to our brackets and start doing it. So we can close that now when you're all installed. Okay, and where we want to put it, here's our nav bar. As I said last time, we'll be dealing with the nav bar last because we're not quite sure what we're going to put on our site yet, and we'll be linking to it using that. So underneath our nav bar here, you see the closing nav bar tag right there. We want to just drop down a couple. Space, and we want to start typing that shortcode, and it was BS4 carousel, I believe. BS4 carousel full. So let's start typing BS4 carousel, CAROUSEL full. There it is, Bootstrap carousel full. If we just click on that, bang, it automatically puts in the code for a carousel for us, which is extremely convenient because I have typed this out many times and it does take a little bit of time, especially I've been typing for 30 odd years and I'm still absolutely useless at it. So let's do a quick save, Control S, and have a look what that's done. It's not going to look really exciting, I'll warn you now. So let's have a look at our site. Here's our site, do a quick refresh. And here it is, there's our first slide. Doesn't that look wonderful? It's because we haven't put any images in there, so there's nothing for it to actually slide. So what are we going to do? We're going to go find some images, and I'm going to go to one of my favorite stock images site called the stocks, and I'm going to go down to one called Pexels. And as we've called our site styles, obviously you're going to want to find some images that are appropriate to your site. I'm going to write restaurant to find some restaurant images. And I'll just grab a few. Let's grab 3. That one's quite nice. Just click on it. I don't want it too big. We'll take this. Well, I'm going to reduce them in Photoshop. So just click the download button. It'll download them. And I'll just pause this while I grab a couple more. Okay, so I've got my images now. Let's open Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, I know it's expensive. You can get a free alternative that's called GIMP, G-I-M-P, that I hear does pretty much the same things. So I need to create a new project. And I'm going to make mine, say, 1920 pixels by 600, because that's the kind of shape I want for my slider. You can change yours if you want. I find 1920 is big enough. You can make it bigger, but you want to remember, you want to try and make your images in file size as small as you can so they load faster. Obviously you want them to look good, so I'm just going to drag in some of the pictures or the images that I downloaded. This one. That'll work. And 2. Remember, we're going to have some text over the top of these, so although the image is important, you've got to remember that you're going to have some text over the top of it. And in our case, it's going to be light colored text, so we want this background to be fairly dark so the light text stands out. And to ensure that, I'm going to put a dark layer over the top of our images here. So I want a square. And let's make that black. Yeah, that'll make our text stand out. No, just kidding. Let's pull the opacity down, or opacity, however you like to say it, so we can see our image. I'm going to put it down to about 50% probably. Yeah, that will probably do. Now let's save our images to our image folder. I'm going to save them as small as I can as JPEGs. So I'll pause this again and just save them to our image folder. All I'm going to do is save, navigate to our image folder, make sure I've got them as JPEG, medium, and save them in our images folder, which is inside our Bootstrap 4 project folder here that we created last time. So I'll just pause and save these quickly. Okay, I've saved those into our image folder now. S1, S2, S3, really descriptive titles. You may want to put more descriptive titles in, either with some keywords you want for your site, or some keywords and some location words as well, because it helps with your SEO, but I'm not going to go into that. SEO is a whole different topic. So here's our carousel that we just put in. Let's add our images. And if you look down, you'll see IMG. We're on line 65 here. Yours might be slightly different if you've pasted it somewhere else. And source equals, this is where we need to put our images in, and it's in our images folder, our IMG folder. So IMG, it's prompted us right there. And S1, same thing for the next one down, IMG, S2, IMG, S3. And there we are. We've got 3 slides going on here. If you want 4 slides, just copy one, drop down and paste it underneath. You've got 4 slides there. And if you want to, just delete one. You want to make sure though you've got these carousel indicators right here. So you'll have to do the same thing. Control C, and I'll show you this in a moment. Paste it down below and call this one number 3, because they're going from 0 to 3 instead of 1 to 4. Oops, sorry, 3 is what we want there. Okay, and I've only got 3 images, so I'll paste 2 in here as well, I guess. That way at least you'll be able to see it rotating. Okay, let's save that and just have a look. We're going to change these captions in a moment. Control S. Let's go back to our site. And here we go. Here's our images. And here's our captions. It should slide automatically. There we go. And here's our indicators. This is where we had to add a 4th one when we added the 4th slide. And we've got our controls, right and left, obviously. But I mean, that works. It's not quite what I want. I'd like this to be larger, and I'd like it to be in the middle here, and perhaps might use a different color for the little caption underneath. Let's go back to our brackets. Let's get rid of that 4th one that we added just now. Just select it and delete it. Let's tidy that back up. And delete that 4th indicator as well. And let's put in our titles. Obviously, you're going to want to put in whatever's pertinent to your site. And for our captions, let's use a bit of Lorem Ipsum dummy text. I've got that up still from last time. Let's just grab a line. Don't want to put too much in there. But that is entirely up to you. And all I'm doing is pasting in between these paragraph tags here and the H3 tags. You always want to make sure you don't clip off any of those little pointy brackets at the end there, because things will not work correctly. Okay, let's save that and have a look at our site now. Now our caption should be in there. There we go. But like I said before, I'd like to see this up sort of more centered. We've got to get rid of that gap at the top there, and I'd like our caption to be a little larger as well. So I'm using Chrome browser here, and if you're following along, I suggest you do as well, because it's got the great developer tools. And if we hit just F12, it'll bring up our inspector here. Just scroll that up a bit so we can see what's going on. And we've in the Styles tab, we've got our CSS on the right hand side and our HTML on the left hand side. Yours may be up the side. You can always adjust it and put it wherever you want it. So let's have a look. First, let's center this stuff here. So that's going to be the carousel caption. So let's just right click on it and hit inspect. And I think that's brought us to the correct one. Yeah, carousel caption. And moment it's just giving it 20 pixels from the bottom. I'm going to use a percentage, I think. Let's give it sort of 10%. Obviously you want to play around with it. That's better. Let's put it up. Let's bring that down a little bit so we can see the whole thing. Yep. Yep, that's pretty much where I want it. So let's try 12%. I think might want just a little bit more. So that was from the bottom. Let's try 12%. That should just pop it up just a little bit more for us. Yeah, that's going to work, 12%. So let's copy this from the dot just to the end of what we did there, padding bottom. You'll have to do it quickly because when it slides, it's going to go round. Unless you've got a good memory, you can just type it in. So I've copied that back to our brackets. This time we're going to go to our CSS folder. Here's our custom CSS. And for those that haven't been following along, this is what we created in the first video in our CSS folder here. It's this one here, and you can just open it with your brackets, right click. And let's drop down a couple, give it a title, // / and call it slider or carousel, whatever you want, just as long as you remember what it is. And drop down a couple, paste in what we just copied. Now we've got an opening bracket. You've always got to make sure you've got a closing bracket as well as an opening bracket. So let's just delete what we did not change. We did not change any of that. We only changed that padding bottom 12%. So we can delete everything we didn't change. Make sure we've got a little semicolon after that. And a closing curly bracket. There we go. Okay, save that, Control S. Next thing I want to do, I want to make that caption, I want to make that bigger. So let's inspect that. And let's, I don't know, perhaps make it 40 pixels. At the moment they're using rems, which is a measurement by default. I think it's 16 pixels on this, but we're not going to change everything. We just want to change our carousel h3 tags. So let's make it let's try 40 pixels, see what that looks like. Whoops, I need to type it in the right place. 40 pixels, 400 pixels. Yeah, that looks good. 40 pixels. Okay, that looks better. I think I could have it a bit more. Let's say 42 pixels. And let's make it bold or larger font weight. So let's go font weight, colon. It's prompted us. Let's go bold. That's better. That stands out a lot better. So just copy. We don't want. What we want to do is just take the H3, not the .h3, just the H3, and to the end of the curly brackets down there. And again, it's going to, every time the slide slides, it's going to deselect it. So get it quite quickly. Control C. Back to our brackets. Now this time we want to put dot carousel because it's in the carousel caption. It's the same as we want before. Let's just paste in what we got here, and the easy way to do it is this. So let's paste in what we got there. Don't want that .h3. We're gonna just copy carousel caption. Try saying that 3 times, and just paste it right there. So what it wants to say is Carousel Caption H3. Save it, Control S, back to our site, do a refresh, and hopefully this should stay exactly the same. Yeah, that's great. We refresh and it stayed exactly the same. So our CSS is working, it's being pulled in. Okay, this text underneath, I'd like to make it slightly bigger too, this, and perhaps change the color of it. It still wants to be a light color. So let's just right click on that and inspect. Pull our inspector up a little bit. And it's our P right here. Okay, let's just drop down and say font size. Let's try, I don't want it too big, sort of 18 pixels. That's better. Yeah, I think that'll work. So again, and let's give it a bit of color. So just color, COLOR, colon. About a light blue. That's okay. I want it a little bit bigger again, I think. Let's make it 24 pixels. Yeah, that stands out nicely. Yeah, that stands out very good. Okay, now let's just copy this, P. And we really only need to take it to the end of the sky blue there, like I say. Drop down. Now we don't want all our paragraph text to do that. Let's quickly put that closing curly bracket on the end so we don't forget. We don't want all of our paragraph text to be that. We just want stuff within the carousel caption to be affected. So let's copy carousel caption and just paste that behind our P tag there. Okay, that's fine. And see what else we need to do. Control S, save, back to the site, refresh, it should stay the same. Let's just drop this down. I think we had that gap at the top, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We want to get rid of that gap at the top. So let's just click on it and inspect. I think that's to do with, if we go back to our brackets, I think that's padding top there, 5 rem. So it looks like our body. Let's bring this up a little bit. Scroll this down so we can see that gap. So it's, what was our padding saying? Our padding was saying 5 rem. So it's from there to there is 5 rem. So maybe 4, maybe 3.5 rem is going to be enough. There it is right there, padding top, because we selected on that bit right there. Let's try 4 rem. Like I say, by default, that's not quite enough. We still got a gap there. We may want to make this nav bar larger later on, so we may want to adjust this again. Let's try 3.5. 305. 3.5. And let's drop this down so we can see the whole thing. Yeah, I think that's going to work fine. So let's call it 3.5. I'm not going to copy it. I'm just going to change what we have there already. Not sure about that blue. Let's change that blue to a different color. Let's just, hold on, click on that a minute. Inspect. It's got that blue right there. just not standing out enough for me, really. That's what aqua seems a little bit better. Yeah, that's nice. Let's leave it like that. Let's just copy that hex color there. Back to our custom CSS style sheet in our brackets. This video is going on a little bit. I apologize. We're about done. So where was our color? Our P color was right here. P color. Doesn't sound too good, does it? Okay, put that in there, and we wanted to change that to 3.5. Seemed to work for us. And that should do it for this video. Let's have a look. Close the inspector. Refresh our site. And everything should stay the same. Good. So there we have it. Slides are working fine. It should auto scroll with no trouble at all. That's it. So there you have it. There's how to add your slider. It's pretty easy, especially with that extension that we added there. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in web development, take one of our free or premium courses below. We have huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers on our premium courses. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.